Solomon was the son of the great king of Israel, David. David, the guy who killed Goliath. David had many children, but God said that Solomon, his son, would follow him on the throne of Israel. And when Solomon, after David died, took the throne of Israel, God appeared to Solomon. And he asked Solomon, "What would you have me do for you?" And Solomon was overwhelmed with the task of leading the nation of Israel. He said, "God, you have given me the responsibility of leading such a great people, more numerous than can be counted. Lord, give me a discerning and wise heart, that I might lead your people well." God was so impressed by Solomon's request, God said to Solomon, "Because you have not asked me for riches, because you have not asked me for revenge upon your enemies, because you have not asked me for long life, I will not only grant you your request, because you, Solomon, will be the wisest man that ever lived on the face of the earth. And through your wisdom, you will have riches beyond what you have ever dreamed. You will have peace with all of your enemies. And if you follow this wisdom, you will live a long and satisfying life." And so Solomon, in the early years of his life, walked with God. And during that period of time, he wrote a book called Proverbs, which is all about the divine wisdom of God. And in the book of Proverbs, there's a joy, there's a wonder, there's an absolute sensation of divine wisdom and how God is behind and through all that he created. That the very fear of the Lord is the beginning of such wisdom. But then, the Bible teaches us that Solomon had a period of his life that when he had gotten wealthy, when he had gotten peace with all of his enemies, when he had fulfilled all of these things, that he actually turned away from God. He attempted to try to find meaning in life through what he did, through what he experienced, through all the rest of this stuff. And the book of Ecclesiastes is written at the very end of Solomon's life. Because there was a period of time where Solomon attempted to find meaning outside of God. He had it all. He tried it all. And then the word Ecclesiastes literally means the preacher. Solomon began to lay down for all who were living in his time and all who would follow him, that they wouldn't have to attempt the same tragic story that he learned, to attempt to find the meaning of life outside of God. And so Solomon, through it, begins to tell us, because why? People attempt to find meaning in different ways, and maybe you're here today, and you've sought to find meaning through a whole host of issues in life. Solomon found it, listen, if you're taking notes this morning, the first he tried was reason. The first he tried was reason. Look at this. In Ecclesiastes 1, because listen, one more thing you need to recognize about the book of Ecclesiastes. This is a key. It won't make any sense to you unless you understand this. Ecclesiastes is purely human wisdom. It lacks divine guidance. Because many of Solomon's conclusions that he comes to in the book of Ecclesiastes do not hold true with other points of Scripture. We say, why is it a book of the Bible? Because here, the key to understanding Ecclesiastes is a term used throughout the book called under the sun. Solomon attempts to understand things purely through human means. Now, there are some good things that he imparts to us, but many of his conclusions are flawed. And therefore, to understand the book of Ecclesiastes is to recognize that it is purely human thinking. It is purely, and you say, well, why? Listen to me. Not everything. It's creed. Why would this be a book of the Bible? Because it is accurately recorded what Solomon said, but not everything he said was true. You looking at me, look. Job said this: the Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. See, Job had no understanding that his problems were not from God, but from the devil. He didn't see that. So what the Bible said is accurately recorded, inspired in said fashion, but what Job said wasn't true. When you read the whole book, you understand it. And you and I must recognize when we read the entire Bible The context of Ecclesiastes is to recognize the futility of attempting to understand life purely by human wisdom. In fact, one of the words used throughout the entire book, the word is used 35 times in the Bible, and 33 of those times are found in Ecclesiastes. It's the word meaningless. And through human reason, listen, in Ecclesiastes 1, look at verse 14. Ecclesiastes 1 and 14 says this, I have seen all the things that are done, look at this, under the sun. All of them are meaningless, a chasing after the wind. What is twisted cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. I thought to myself, look, I have grown and increased in wisdom more than anyone who has ever ruled over Jerusalem before me. I have experienced much of wisdom and knowledge. Then I applied myself to understanding of wisdom and also of madness and folly. But I learned this too is chasing after the wind. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow, and with much knowledge comes more grief.